Good morning, good afternoon, everyone joining us today. A warm welcome to this live code session that we are having. This is going to be the last one for this year before Dreamforce and Trailhead EX India. So we are excited about this and hope you are as well. So before we begin, I would like to wish everyone a belated happy Diwali. And today is Halloween, so happy Halloween, everyone. I am Aditya. I am a senior developer evangelist on the Salesforce team. And today I'm joined with Shantanu Borel, who is a Salesforce MVP and a senior technical architect. So
at Tavan Technologies.
Introduce yourself, sir.
So my name is Shantanu Borel. I'm a Salesforce MVP and I'm working as a senior technical architect at Tavan Technologies. And as a warm welcome to all of you to join in this webinar.
Okay, so today we both are going to actually extend Salesforce with Heroku. We are going to take a look at a scenario and all of that. But before that, the forward-looking statement, please don't make any purchasing decisions based on what we might speak today. Please make it based on whatever is generally available. So feel free to reach us out on social media channels. So all of these are the social media channels that we are very active on. Please take a screenshot of it. And one important note is that this webinar is being recorded and the YouTube URL for that will be posted on the same registration page. So if you have any questions, you need not wait until the end of the webinar. You can post it in the questions window of GoToWebinar and we will be answering it live. So with that, let's see what else. Yeah, we are right down to the agenda. So today we are going to build an app with Lightning Web Components and deploy it to Heroku. And once this app is deployed to Heroku, we are going to look at the different ways in which we can integrate Salesforce data into the application that we built. And finally, we are going to explore the options that Heroku offers for you to manage your deployment lifecycle and scaling your web app. So without further ado, we will get started. So today, Shantanu is with us, so we will let him tell us what is a scenario that he's looking to implement and we can take it from there.
Thank you, Aditya. So our scenario for today is that we have a customer and they sell furniture to customers located around the world. For global reach, they have tied up with resellers. They use Salesforce for day-to-day basis activities, including the reseller onboarding and bulk order placement. Sales rep manually create bulk orders for these resellers in Salesforce, and Salesforce is the source of truth for all the products and orders.
Okay, so this is great. They're already a Salesforce customer. So what is it that they're looking for now?
Now, what they want to do next? They are expanding business rapidly and they want to create a website that customers can directly access and place orders online. They want to create personalized experience for each user with the product recommendations. They have complex and long-running algorithms are involved in the rule engine that serves these results. They also want the ability to scale the application to handle peak season loads. They insist that website must have seamless integrations with Salesforce data.
Okay, so peak season loads as in like Diwali and Thanksgiving, all of that, this is happening. Okay, personalized experience. Okay, this is good. They have a good requirement. So I would, so to address this requirement, obviously today we are talking about Heroku.
Yep.
So we will explore Heroku and how it is able to address all of these requirements.
Yep.
So what is Heroku? So I'll just give you a brief. It is a platform as a service offering. So in the Salesforce suite, you already have the Lightning platform, which is also a platform as a service offering, which contains a bunch of drag and drop tools, process builders, and all of that with which you can build apps on Salesforce. So Heroku is another offering in the same Salesforce suite, which is again a product platform as a service offering. Now the advantage with Heroku is that you can build on it using any programming language of your choice, mostly open source like Ruby, PHP, Node.js. So you'll be able to build apps using those technologies. You're not just limited to Apex. And with the launch of Lightning Web Components, you can also use Lightning Web Components to build apps on Heroku.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's great.
So now let us actually look at what you can do with Heroku. You mind covering this?
So what we can do in the with the Heroku, okay? So we can build apps or systems with a number of open source languages. So since we can use our LWC as open source language, we would like to leverage that as
Okay.
well. Okay. And Heroku accepts requests by HTTP and HTTPS attached to database, use third-party add-on modules, and queue and run background jobs. Okay.
Okay, so it means that using Heroku, you can build public-facing websites, and also you can build background jobs that perform a certain activity, and then you can get the results out of it.
Yeah, definitely. So with the use of Heroku, we can use third-party add-ons that provide additional functionality.
Okay, cool. Just like we have App Exchange for Salesforce, you have these add-ons for Heroku.
Yeah. So, and we can easily gain access to our company's Salesforce data.
Right, we are going to look into that today, how you can easily gain access to Salesforce data.
Yep.
Not a lot of code that is required for that.
Yep. And Heroku can scale the application manually and as well as automatically.
That's great. That is one of the core advantages of Heroku, where if you want to manage loads, so let's say during your normal season there is not much traffic to your website, you might want to only utilize less number of resources. While there is a huge load, you want to dynamically or manually increase the number of resources or the CPU memory that is allocated to your application so that it is able to handle that load. So you have that in your hands.
Yeah.
Primarily the advantage being Heroku is going to charge you based on the number of computing power that you use.
Yeah, so basically we can use dynos over here, and dynos is nothing but a container, and we can scale this thing with the horizontally and the vertically. So horizontally means that a number of instances, increasing the number of instances, and vertically means that increasing the CPU or RAM.
Correct.
Okay. So, and last point is that have the same level of trust that Lightning platform provides.
Yes. So since Heroku is a part of our Salesforce suite that contains all the different clouds that we offer, Heroku is also backed by the same core value that Salesforce has, which is trust.
Yep.
So to give you the best examples, some of you might be aware of Salesforce Shield as an offering for high compliance. We also have the same offering on Heroku as well. So you have something called a Heroku Shield that offers the same amount of high compliance to your data stored on Heroku as well.
Okay, so back to our use case. Okay, so there are a couple of things we can put it on the Heroku as well as distribute that. One is that our complex rule engine can be there in the Heroku. That's the first thing. During the peak hours, we can increase our dynos, number of dynos and instances over here. So we can migrate. We can just transfer some data from Salesforce to Heroku also based on our need. Okay, and personalized user experience can be done on the Heroku side also.
Cool. So with that, I think we can start clicking and coding. It is live code, but we are saying clicks because Heroku is still capable of a lot of click-based functionality. So before we get into writing a lot of code, so Shantanu, do you mind showing me the Salesforce instance that your customer is currently using where they take the reseller orders?
Yeah, sure. So let's get started. So here as a reseller, so reseller will come in the contact screen. Okay, and let's say we'll choose a contact. Let's say John Bond, and we have created a tab called place order. So this is a kind of demo instance. So that's why you have kept a minimal amount of data. Okay. Here we can see the number of products are available for the ordering purpose. Okay, I can select the product and I can also search the product by the name.
All right.
Okay. So if let's say, let me give you the quantity over here. So the way we have built, if we put the quantity greater than 0, so and if we place the order, then the order will be placed with the number of products. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. So shall I go ahead or?
Yeah, you can go ahead.
Okay. So let me put a quantity for this is 1, and let's say for 2, and let's say for 3. So there are 3 records will be get created.
Okay.
Okay, and I select the submit order. Clicking on submit order, the order is placed and created. Okay.
Okay.
For this purpose, we have created 3 objects altogether. One is that this product object is a custom object, that is the products. Okay, and then we have created the reseller order. Okay, this is the one separate object, And other than this under this reseller, there is a order object. So right now we have created this reseller order with the contact is it is related between the order number and the contact. And if I go to the related, we can get the list of products we have ordered. So this is the products we have ordered, and it is coming as 1, 2,
So
and 3.
here, so here reseller order is our custom object, and your order items is also a custom object. And what about the product lookout here? You mind clicking on it?
Yep, sure. So this is also a custom object for our demo purpose.
All right. So here on the product, you are just storing the name, price, and whatever is the URL.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So I'm curious now to know, how did you build the user interface that you just showed me, the place order user interface?
Yep. So let's go ahead. So first of all, let me open the order user interface once again. So if I go over here, so that we can resemble with the code. Okay. So this is the interface. So we have a two components over here. This is the product tile component. Each product is a product tile component, and this is the list is the product list component. Okay. Let me show you how it looks like. So we have created a app, and if I go to force of lightning, so we have the two components over here. This is the product list, product tile component, and this is the product list component. This is the HTML of the product tile.
Okay.
So which shows the image of the product, then title of the product, then price informations, and after that the quantity can be added.
All right. I see that this looks pretty basic, and I also see that you're using some base lightning components over here, lightning formatted number and lightning input. Okay, that's cool.
That's cool. And let's go to the product list component. So in the HTML, so we are using this is the parent component. Okay, product list component is the parent component, and our product item tile is a child component. Okay, so how it looks like, this is that we have an input that is the search by name. Okay, and for each and every list, so we are actually iterating the list and showing the list of products. Okay, and then we have the submit order button. Okay.
All right. So this seems pretty basic. So what about the JS of product list? Can I look at how the submit order functionality works?
Yes.
Okay.
So submit order functionality works with the handle click event.
Okay.
Okay. And it submits the order, and it takes the order contact ID, that is from the record ID that is getting passed as a URL, and it will take the product list.
So are you using any Apex classes for this?
Yes, okay. I am using the Apex classes for this, and for that we are using. So for the Apex class, first of all, we go to the submit order, right? So.
Okay, it's fine. I don't need to look at the Apex class. It's just a DML method, so it's fine. So here you have two Apex methods.
Yep.
Get products, I think you have wired it.
Yep.
Yep. Line number 15, I think you have wired it so that it is a wire call. You get the results, and what I see here in line number 19 to 25 is that you're actually creating a new JSON structure that you want to use. You don't want to reuse the _ C, so you have put it into a structure which is
customer structure.
Okay.
Customer structure over here. Okay. So.
Okay. So this is cool. So given your requirements, where now the customer wants to open this up to your wider general audience, the user interface that you have built is pretty good. That is what even the end user would do, where they would search for a product, enter the quantity, and place an order. Now, like I mentioned with Heroku, you can use Lightning Web Components.
Yep.
So actually, you can reuse these same Lightning Web Components on Heroku as well to build your app. Yeah, right. Okay, so I'll guide you to the process of how to do this. But before that, just open the app that you have created. So the starting point to build LWC OSS app is going to be lwc.dev, which is this website where you'll have all the details related to how you're going to create an app and what are the things that are involved in the creation of an app for Lightning Web Components open source. Now you'll see that it is just simple 3 commands that you're going to run.
Yep.
This tooling is actually going to create a Node.js application. And as you know, you can use Node.js apps on Heroku. So Node.js is going to be your backend, and Lightning Web Components is going to be your front end for this application. So you need not worry about how to create a Node.js app and stuff. Just the simple command of npx create LWC app my app is going to create the entire folder structure with all the dependencies.
Right.
And I think you've already done that. Do you mind showing that to us?
Yeah, so I have actually run this command, okay, nps create LWC app, my app, okay, and this is the my app has been created with the template that has been provided for the app. Okay.
Okay, that is cool. So let's run this app to see what is the output currently. So just go to the terminal and run this npm.
Run watch.
Okay, so for the benefit of the audience that is listening to us, this command is going to create a local server and your app is going to run locally without even the need of internet. So you can do rapid development as well. So you access that localhost URL on the web browser and you'll see this is the app. So when you run that command, the basic scaffolding structure that gets created comes with some boilerplate code and this is the output of that code.
Yep.
Now, since it is a pretty basic app, actually what I want you to do now is to start deploying this to Heroku right now so that we can see how the deployment process works.
So let's terminate the job.
Yeah.
So first of all, we'll create the app in the Heroku. Okay.
All right.
So just before deploying the code. Okay. So command will be Heroku create.
Okay, just run it. So while this is running, for the benefit of the audience, so Heroku also comes with a Heroku CLI that you need to install. With that, you can run all the Heroku commands from your command line itself. And Heroku create is also going to create an app. And you want to talk more about the app that is created?
So this is the app has been created that is called One Revine app has been created, and as well as the Git repo has been created for this. Okay, and we can also see that the remote repo over there. Okay.
Okay. So basically, Heroku create can take in an argument of your application name. If you don't supply an argument, it's going to create one name randomly. In this case, it created Warm Revine. And the way deployments work to Heroku is with every app, there is a Heroku Git repository that gets created. And if you look at the command line in green color, that is going to be the repo.
No, sorry, this is the Git. This is the tree.
Yeah.
So let's go for the Git. Okay. So
yes.
Git.
So while he's typing it in, the green color, that one that you see, git.heroku.com, that is going to be the Git repository to which you are going to commit your code, which gets deployed to Heroku. Now, what Heroku command also does is it's going to create an origin inside your local code with the name of Heroku. It's going to create a remote basically. So all of this happens within one command. You need not really worry about it. So just run Heroku create. It's going to give you two URLs. One is to run the app and the other one is to deploy your code. That's it. That's all you need to remember.
Okay. So we clear this?
Yeah.
So
now once you have this, what is the next step?
So first of all, I will actually add all these components to the Git.
Okay. You want to create a proc file first?
Yes.
Okay.
That is the primary requirement for deployment in the Heroku. So new file, proc file. Okay. And since we are using the node, so
okay, npm run serve. Okay, that is cool. All right. So we are going to talk about this in just a second because the deployment to Heroku is going to take like a minute or two, at which point we will brief you on what is being done. So yes, what is the next step? I think you can now commit this to.
I can just commit it to Git. Okay. So I'll use the Git add all the components. Okay. Then Git commit. That is called initial commit. I'm putting a comment.
Okay.
Then I'll push to git push Heroku master.
Okay, this is good. So now let us look at what all have we done. The first thing is we have created a proc file which has the command npm run serve and it has a web colon. Why is that created? Is so right now when you push an app into the Git repository and you deploy it to Heroku, Heroku needs to do two things. First, it needs to build your file and then it needs to run your file. So that is how the typical development works outside the Salesforce world, where you have to build things first and then run them. Now, how does build happen? So if you look at package.json in the folder structure that gets created, you will notice that it contains some scripts. So when you build an app using this tool, that npx LWC create app, the tool that we provide, is going to create a folder structure that adheres to all the best practices in the industry. So as a part of that, you have these scripts that you can run, and more importantly, you have a build script where there is a command that builds your entire code. Now, when you deploy an app to Heroku, it actually looks for a build script inside your package.json and it runs it automatically. So, which is why you're seeing in the terminal right now that there is a build command, whatever is the exact command that is there in package.json. Heroku has run it in here, and you'll see that the build has been successfully created. Now, once your app is built, it needs to be run. So, how does Heroku know what is the command that is used to run your application? So that is where the proc file is going to come into place, where you're going to specify the exact command that Heroku has to run in order to surface your application to the web. Because this is a web application, you have web colon, but in case you're developing an app which runs in the background, you also have web workers. So you have worker colon, and then you put in your commands for that. So that is the primary purpose of proc file, and with just one file, you're going to write this and you're going to push it to the GitHub repo that Heroku has created, and you'll finally see that the app has successfully deployed.
Okay, so let's open this app.
Okay.
So shall I click on this?
Yes. Open the link. Okay, perfect.
Excellent.
So your app, which was right now local, has successfully deployed to Heroku.
Yep.
Now this is all that we need. So the reason we deployed to Heroku first is before we add a lot of complexity to the logic, we want to deploy a very simple app to Heroku and see how it works. And later on, we can go on adding complexity and keep updating the app. Okay, with that, I think we can get started. So like I mentioned before, you can actually reuse your same web components that you have created. And inside this My App, inside the OSS project, your web components are going to live in the folder you might want to show us.
Yep. So web component will be showing over here. There's the two parts over here. One is the client part and the server part. Okay. Under the client, there is a modules. Okay, and there is a namespace called mine. Okay. Under this namespace, there you can see the two folders of their app and the gettings that we have got as a template. Now here we will add the product list and the product type components, and that will leverage in this demo.
Okay, perfect. So you can go back to your Salesforce project and copy over the exact same folders.
Yep. So let's copy this. Okay. So in that LWC, I have two projects. Let's select together, copy this and paste it over here onto the my folder. Yep, paste it.
Okay.
So first of all, what is not needed? Okay, so first of all, we need to remove those things.
Yes.
Okay. So these meta files for both the projects is not needed.
Okay, cool. Just remove it. So meta file is something that is only related to Salesforce, so you can just remove it.
Okay. And also the product list, I'm removing the meta file. Okay.
Okay.
Now, shall I go for a product list?
Yes. So now let's look at the product list.html and let's look at what we can change.
Yep. Now you can see that we have used the base lighting components, and base lighting components does not support in our open source.
Okay.
So we need to change that. Okay. Let's go ahead and change this thing.
All right, sure. So I am actually paired along with you. So I have you. We have this live share that we have installed on VS Code that allows both of us to work on the same VS Code project on the same file. So we are essentially going to start replacing the base Lightning components with equivalent HTML code. Now the primary reason is base Lightning components are currently not available on the open source version, but you can stay tuned for more information soon.
Let's go ahead to change this thing. So I am changing this the lightning layout. Okay, so lightning layout will be replaced by div with SLDS grid. Okay, so div
Okay, so I'm replacing the inputs with the relevant SLDS input and stuff. So we have the type search. We don't need this Lightning input anymore.
okay, and this is the lightning layout component.
Let's add a search by name since that is not available.
Class is it two class?
Okay, there is also a Lightning button. Let me just replace that. So since the variant is brand, let me put the equivalent SLDS classes, SLDS button and SLDS button brand.
Okay. So one more thing is that this is the namespace still is C, okay, but we have used the my namespace, okay. So this is the folder is the component name must be changed, so I'm changing as a my product title.
Okay, does everything look good? I think we also need SLDS wrap here. Okay, so I think this pretty much looks good. We'll see. I mean, if something breaks, we can always come back and fix it. So let's just go to the JavaScript file now and look at that.
Yep. So this is our JavaScript file. And in JavaScript file, we have used to get the orders from the where, okay, and this is not needed over here.
Correct. So accessing Salesforce data is going to be in a different way. So let's just remove the imports and the wire service related to that.
So first of all, let me just delete this thing, and let me remove the where products and submit order, and let me remove this the where from the import. That's cool.
Okay.
Second thing is that a submit order is getting called from the handle click event. Okay. For the time being, so we are commenting this thing. Handle click event method. Set this.
All right.
Okay.
Okay. Anything else that you want to change?
So basically, we have used this HTML and the JS. So we have to change the CSS.
Okay. So I will do the CSS changes because you need to copy over some styles from the SLDS style sheet. Mm-hmm. So in the meanwhile, do you mind changing the product item tile and look at stuff over there?
Yep. So in the product item tile, we have the images, we have the product name. Okay. You can see the product name, you can see the price. So to display the price, we are using the product price. Okay. So rest of the formatted number, lightning formatted number is not supported. We do not need these things. Only thing we need is product price and remove this entire thing.
Okay.
Okay. Then for lightning input, we need to replace this thing with the input tag. Type is number, quantity, length, on change. So this is not needed. Lightning input. We can come and
yes,
then
I think you haven't added the class. Let me do that.
Yeah.
So it is going to be SLDS input. And I have actually created a custom style for you so that the width of the text box is not as large as the one that you're showing on Salesforce.
Yeah.
But other than that,
we have to add these label. Okay, quantity needed.
Yes, add the label on the top here. I think it's fine.
And this one. Okay. This one.
Okay, just a second, I'm updating your style sheets. So for the benefit of the audience, the product list. So all of these, the top three ones were already there. I've added all these SLDS styles from the Salesforce Lightning Design System CSS, so that it looks consistent with the Salesforce experience. Now, one thing that we haven't done yet is you have actually removed your wire service call. And currently there is no way that the user can actually see a list of products.
Yep.
So for which, what I'm going to do is you can go to the product list.js, just open it, because I'm going to paste some stuff over there. And if you scroll a little bit to the top, what I've done is I have taken your same basic JSON structure that you have created in the wire, and I've hard coded some data for you. So initially when you're running this app, it should run perfectly. So
it will not interact with the database, but at
Yeah.
least we can see the hard-coded data to whether the structure is good or not.
Yes.
Okay.
So now do you mind running the npm run watch again? I want to see how this app looks currently.
So we have not changed the template of the app HTML. So do you mind to change
Oh
these
yes.
things?
Oh
Let's
yes.
change.
So we have this app.html, which was actually showing our application. So here we have this greeting and all of that. The nice UI that you saw till now was presented here. We'll
Yep.
replace all of this with the custom code that we want.
Yep. So you can take the header part one, and I can add
Yes.
these the component. Okay. So
Okay, so let me just remove, okay, let me remove this. Let me create a header. Yeah. So I want the image to be inside my header. And I also want to have a title. So let me add a title saying reseller.
so you just type this. Yep. You can type this. Okay.
Yeah. Reseller order folder is what I'm going to do. And let me add some styles by the time you fix the component. Okay, so your app.html is done.
Only thing is that the center part is not
This we
needed.
can remove.
Okay. So I have added this my product list. So since the product list and there is the
Okay.
my
okay.
namespace.
That is
Okay.
cool. Now let's run this app.
So do you mind in the app CSS?
Yeah, I have updated the CSS as well.
Okay, that's good. And the JS file is fine. Okay,
Yeah.
so we do not need that. So let me deploy this thing.
Yeah, you can run it locally first. I want to see how the output is.
Yeah, npm. So where it is? npm run watch.
Yes, hopefully it should work fine.
Yeah, local server is started. So let me go to my local. I'll refresh this.
All right, so
Excellent.
yeah, so it is good practice to actually the button doesn't seem to be working fine. So while you stay on the screen, what I will do is I will update this code. So what your local host is capable of is live reload. So in case you make some mistakes like this, you can just save your file and things will get auto reloaded. So
Right.
because we are on live share, I could change things on my end and it got reflected automatically in yours. So that is the power of this local development that you have with open source.
Okay.
Now, what you can do, right now this is hard-coded data and it all works fine. So let's just push this version to Heroku now.
Yeah. So right now we have we didn't post right now. So this is the Heroku code.
Correct.
Okay. So we'll see over here. Okay. Let's post this. So this is not needed. So let me just go over here and
Yeah, quit this and then any deployments to Heroku, it's just a simple git push that you want
git
to do.
add,
So,
then git commit, open, putting as updating. It's fine.
yeah. So now the moment you ran git commit, you see that a bunch of things are running. Actually, it is not just committing your files, but it is also running something that we call as a pre-commit hook that we defined, where it runs prettier. It also runs the linting tools. So you need not worry about indentation and all when writing your code. I mean, you should, but in case you forget, before committing the code, it actually runs your prettier command so that all your files are properly indented. And then it also runs linting so that if you make any mistakes in JavaScript, they get caught during your commit itself. So that is something that comes bundled with the tool. And once your commit is done, you can again run the same git push Heroku master, which is going to take some time in order to push your code. So now that we have built our basic app, let's actually now jump into Heroku.
Yep.
And we will try to integrate with Salesforce.
Yep.
Yeah, you can open Heroku now.
So this is my Heroku. Let me just refresh this. I've logged in as Heroku. So this is the app has been created. Okay. So what are the things we can see over here? We can have the overview. We can have resources, deploy matrices.
So this is like the one-stop shop of everything about your app. Okay.
Yeah.
Yes. Now, in order to integrate with Salesforce, we are going to use something called as Heroku Connect. Now, Heroku Connect is one of the multiple add-ons that we previously spoke about, and you can easily find it in the resources tab and go to add-ons. Shantanu, explain it, please.
Yeah. So we can have the add-ons. So we can see that the Heroku Connect, Heroku Kappa, Postgres. These are the add-on items are there.
Okay. So primarily, Heroku Connect, the primary function of it is it integrates with Salesforce and it pulls all the data from Salesforce and it puts it into a local Postgres database. So even without Heroku Connect, you can have a local database of your own choice. So this is just any other app that you have on the web.
Yeah.
So any app, if you want to provision a database first, you can actually provision a Heroku Postgres database. Postgres is a highly scalable database RDBMS tool. And you can use this database to store any data of your choice. The only advantage Heroku Connect is going to give you is it's going to create Salesforce related tables into your database. Okay. So I think the first step is going to be to actually provision a database to this app.
Okay. So I've selected the Heroku Postgres. So this will give an options to provision this. I'm accepting this thing.
Yeah, it's just one click and you have a database ready.
Okay, so let's see what is there in the database. Clicking on the Heroku Postgres.
Okay,
it's still building.
Yeah.
It will be coming. Okay, so we can see the utilization, we can data size means we have a smaller size. Okay, and we can see the settings, and here we can view the credentials. For our project purposes also, this is the this URI and the Heroku CLI are important. Okay, that will be utilized this thing.
Correct. So since this is a fully managed hosted database, Postgres database settings is going to give you a bunch of different ways in which you can connect to this database to either pull or push information that is available in your settings tab. We are going to come back to this in just a moment. But before that, this is a blank database right now. We want some tables created in it. And we don't want to create those tables. We want Heroku Connect to create those tables. So let's just provision Connect now.
Yes. So first of all, let's come back over here. So in the resource tab, so here same way, let's search for the Heroku Connect. Same pop-up screen will open and it will ask for provision.
Okay, again just a single click and you can click on Heroku Connect to configure.
Yeah. So first of all, we have to configure this thing. So we have to set up the connections. So here we'll show the database URL, that is the config where, and the database plan name. I'll select this thing and enter the schema name. I'm putting as a default Salesforce. Let's go next.
So basically, just like any other third-party application, when using Heroku Connect, you need to authorize your Salesforce instance in order for it to work. So
Yep.
here we are going to select the production environment and click next.
Let me authorize this thing, and it will ask for credentials. So I'm giving the credentials.
Okay.
Okay. Please allow me to in.
Yeah, so there are some considerations that you need to have. So typically you do this with an integration user who has all the permissions that are required to access your data. But if you want to restrict this user to access only certain objects, you can configure those permissions on the integration user as a best practice.
Yep. So connection has been created. Let's go over the mappings. Mappings between the Salesforce table and the Heroku.
Okay.
Okay. So right now there is no mapping. So there, let me create a new mapping. Create mapping.
So when you create a mapping, essentially what happens is you map Salesforce objects into database tables. So right now for our use case, we are going to map the product table.
Yep. There's a custom product object.
So if you remember from the scenario that we were discussing, product was the source of truth for all the products was Salesforce. And so we want to keep our database updated with product data always, which is why we are going to select the product table. We are going to map all the fields that we need. And here we get to specify what is a polling frequency. So the thing with Heroku Connect is it is a near real-time integration. So it's not exactly real-time. So it's going to poll your Salesforce instance for changes every 10 minutes, or you can configure it down to 2 minutes at max. And that also depends on what is the kind of instance that you're running. For now, this is a free instance, so the minimum polling interval is 10 minutes.
Yep. What about accelerated?
Accelerated polling, that is a very good question. So in case you want the polling not to happen at these regular intervals, but you also want it to happen whenever data changes in Salesforce, you can enable accelerated polling, which is going to create a streaming topic in Salesforce. And it's just like any other streaming API call. So the moment you update your database in Salesforce, the streaming API call is going to come to this. And here it is going to trigger a poll.
Okay.
So the way accelerated polling works is it doesn't rely on the streaming API to get the changed records. The streaming API is only going to intimate Heroku Connect that something has changed and the polling begins. So the regular poll cycle, let's say it is every 10 minutes. And let's say at the end of the second minute, I get a streaming API call saying something has changed. Heroku is now going to poll the database again. And once that is done, it is done. And the regular polling interval still continues. So the 10-minute, 20-minute, it still goes on. So this is just a way to get to trigger a poll.
Okay, so I have a question like this. So Salesforce has a maintenance window.
Correct.
Okay, so let's say 5 minutes maintenance window might be possible during our release, right? So what will happen during this polling?
What will happen if the poll is not successful?
Yeah.
It just errors out and it waits for the next cycle.
Yeah. So it will be in the queue and then it will get picked up.
Correct.
Okay.
So which is why it is important, very important actually to consider that what we call this Heroku Connect as eventually consistent. So because it is near real-time integration, the moment you update something in Salesforce or in Heroku, it is not immediately going to be consistent across both the environments. It is going to be eventually consistent, where after some time things are going to be consistent. And now for this purpose, it is very important for you to ensure you have external IDs and all of them set so that you can still read things based on the external ID. And by default, this is going to be a readable table. If you want, you can make it writable as well, but you're not going to do that now. Let's just click next.
Let's save this thing.
And if you guys are worried about the important question that is conflict resolution, whoever is the latest entry, that will be committed. Yeah, that will win. Latest entry wins first. That is the conflict resolution strategy.
Okay, so mapping has been created. So we can see that the Salesforce records are there. And
okay, so I also see the database rows, that is 7 rows. So 7 of my Salesforce products have been synchronized to 7 database rows. So that is very good. Okay.
Okay. So
I think we are done with the setup of Heroku Connect. Do you want to go to the Heroku app and refresh it? I think you would have this last time.
Yep. So this is the Heroku app.
All right, awesome. Okay, so the app has gotten deployed. So what is
Okay.
the next step that you want to take?
So next step is that we want to take the data,
Okay.
okay, and show the real-time data
Okay.
in our app. Okay.
Okay.
Right now it is hard-coded.
Cool. So I'll show you two features.
Mm-hmm.
Can you go back to your database settings?
Yep, this is the database setting.
Okay. So here you have something called as a Heroku CLI.
Mm-hmm.
So this command allows you to run queries anonymously. So just like you have execute anonymous and in the developer console, you can run queries anonymously using this command. Why not copy this command and run it?
Yep. So let us run this thing. So
Okay.
not there. So just here.
Yeah, so basically this command takes in two arguments, what is the name of your database and what is the name of your app, and then it's going to run.
Yep. It is connecting to our database
Yes, and now you
and
can write any query of
any
your
query.
choice.
So I want to see the records from the products. Okay. So select any text star also.
Yeah, it is not SOQL, it is simple SQL, so you can feel free to use star.
So products, I think sell products.
Yeah, you have given the schema name as Salesforce, so it is going to be Salesforce dot product
Products.
underscore.
Right. And we put the semicolon also.
Yes, so now the table information is coming, it is perfect.
Mm-hmm.
Let's just quit this command, and now we know that connectivity has been established, it's all perfect. So let's now integrate this into our code. So here is where we are going to go into our server space. So now we are in the client space till now. Let's go into the server space.
So let's go to the server folder and let's go to the index.js. So here we'll make the changes.
Correct. So the way this works is, this is an Express.js configuration where app.get, you can specify a URL, which is going to be kind of like a REST resource or a RESTful endpoint that you expose from the Express server. You can create getter or post methods of your choice. So for now, let's go with get. So we want to create an endpoint called data/products, which when invoked is going to get me my products from Heroku.
Okay. So do you want to get some code from our documentation before?
Yeah, just put data/products and then we will look at it.
Okay. And
okay.
we go to the
now how do you integrate with Postgres?
Yep.
For that you have documentation on Heroku. Do you mind going to that link for the benefit of audience?
So this is the documentation.
So this is the Dev Center documentation link for integrating with Postgres. So it contains all the information about Postgres, including how you can connect from different environments. Here you can just click on Node.js and it's going to show you the code that is needed. So Node.js, the way it works is you'll have to install dependencies before you get things working. So let's run this.
Let's run the dependency over here. So we have to install the PG. Okay. So nps, where is that? So okay, here's npm install PG.
Okay, so this is going to install your Postgres. So now we are going to copy all of this code. So this is the code required to make connections. So let's just copy it. Actually, I'll also copy the relevant places.
So here we have the app.get. So here we need to put this code. Okay. So we have the const. So basically, we'll first of all create the client instance of the client. It is taking this connection string and SSL. Okay. So process.env.database URL. It will take.
We will come to that. Okay. So before that, let's look at the query. Right now, it is select whatever. Can you update that?
So let me update this thing. Okay. So first of all, we'll select all the rows from the database table. Okay. So it will take this SFID, then name, then price underscore C, then picture URL underscore C from Salesforce dot product underscore C. It's fine.
Okay.
Then we'll change the, since we are using the race over here, so we have to change the data so that I can get the data. Okay.
All right.
So
Now what you're doing is you're connecting and you're firing this query,
Mhm.
and depending on the data, you are either going to show the data, or if there is an error, console log the error.
console
Okay.
log the error. So let me just put it over here. Okay. Now after
Okay.
this,
Let me make some changes now. So you're getting the data from the query.
Mhm.
So I need to store all of that information. I need to return it as your JSON that I have hard coded for now. You
Right.
remember the structure that I hard coded?
Right.
I actually now need to populate that. So I'll just define a var products with an empty array.
Yep.
And what I'm going to do inside my for loop is I'm actually going to use a sophisticated method called map,
Yep.
which allows me to update
Yep.
the data to whatever format that I want.
Yep.
So right now, this is how I want to do it,
Mm-hmm.
where it is data, you have products where it is data.rows.map.
Mm-hmm. We have to return the JSON.
Yeah, and it is returning the entire JSON. So here what I'm going to do is I'm going to just res.json of
Products.
products is what I plan to do with index. And I see there is some linting error. Data is declared, but its value is never read. Okay, that is a bit strange. I think it should be okay. Let's just remove this. Okay. I think this looks good, but we are missing one thing. Okay, we have this process.env.database URL over here.
Yeah.
So this is typically an environment variable where, depending on the environment that you're deploying this on, Node is going to get environment variables. The way you get environment variables is using the .env file and just create one.
So let me create a .env file, and
So purely for local development purposes, you need to create the .env file. And it is a best practice that you never commit the .env file into your GitHub repositories because it might contain sensitive information. Now, Heroku has a place where these environment variables are configured. We are going to show it to you in just a bit. But before that, let's update the .env file with the database URL.
So database URL, I can go over here in the Heroku. So this is the URL. So that needs to be used as a database URL. Save this information. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. This one is fine.
Yep, it looks good to me. If everything is good, okay, now there is one small thing. Because I said environment variables is completely local, I need a way to read my .env file and process that into the process.env. So for that, I need to install one dependency called .env.
Mm-hmm.
So just run that command npm install.env.
Yes. NPM.
So Node typically works on all dependencies. So yeah. So while it is installing, I have actually added a tiny bit of code on the top, which is require.env of config. So this is the command that is going to read your .env file and put those values into process.env. So that is just a tiny bit of code that does all of this. So once your package installation is done, you can run this. Now it's still taking time to run this. So what we'll do is let's invoke this endpoint from the front end code as well.
Yep.
So why don't you open product list.js?
So let me open the product list.js. It is in the client folder. Okay.
Yeah, it is here.
Mm-hmm.
So now what we are going to do is we are going to replace all of the hard-coded data with data from the endpoint. So for that, I'm going to make use of connected callback as a method. So connected callback executes whenever your component is connected to the DOM. So let's just add a connected callback.
Okay. Okay. So you have to use the fetch API, right?
Correct. Because it is a REST endpoint that you expose, just use a fetch API. You can copy the syntax from Google.
Yep. So we can use the same thing. So data slash products. Okay. And
You can actually look at how you can make REST API calls from the recipes. You need not worry about typing all of those. So if you look at this example in the recipes, it is actually a fetch query call.
mhm.
So why not copy all of this and you can paste it there.
Okay.
All right. So here, instead of books, we are going to have this dot products.
Yes. So JSON response is fine, right?
Yeah, let me just replace
Yes,
that.
with the products. Yeah.
Yeah. So if this is a response, if response is not okay, I don't think we need this complicated logic for this simple use case. Let's just do this. I think this is done. Let us save it.
Yes.
You want to run this app now? I think the installation dependencies and all is done.
Do you
So
want
just to recap, um, yeah, local. So just to recap what we have done, we have used Express.js to expose an endpoint which connects to the Postgres database. And the way we have connected it is by using the database URI that we got from the Heroku settings. And the endpoint that we have created, we are utilizing it in connected callback in our web components in the front end method. And we are looking at it. So
so
let's look
this
at
is
the output, if it is working fine or not.
let's see that.
Okay, so
So I
right now
missed
there
something.
is,
No, it
there
is
is a lot of data that is coming in.
right.
So this is the front end. Let's look at the API that you export. So localhost slash data slash products,
Yep.
so that the
So
users can see how it works. So this is the JSON that your slash data slash products is returning. So the way it works is if you go back to index.js, the endpoint that you have written in app.get can be directly accessed after your local host. So that way you can expose any number of endpoints with functionality that can be utilized from your front-end logic as well. Now, this is all good, but now the next step is for us to perform a DML operation as well. So now you can ideally write all of this information back to Postgres and have it sync to Salesforce. But today, let's also look at another way in which you can integrate with Salesforce, that is using API.
API. Okay. So
So you want to talk about what is a library that you want to use?
so we need to use for our integrating uh, from app to Salesforce. You use the JSForce library. Okay.
Okay, do
So
you want to
let's
show the documentation for JSForce?
yes. So this is the documentation for the JSForce. So
Okay.
we can have the connection information. So we can call the Salesforce with the library.
Okay, so now for the benefit of audience, again, what is JSForce? It is a public library that we have, again, compatible with Node.js, which can integrate with Salesforce and run many things. It supports your username and password authentication. It supports OAuth authentication. And after which, if you scroll a bit down, you can see that you can run SOQL queries.
Yep.
And that's a simple command that you can use to run SOQL queries against Salesforce. You can also invoke Apex REST. So if you have any Apex REST methods that are exposed,
Yes.
you
We
can
can
actually invoke Apex REST as well. Now,
we can
not
use
just until this point, but
yeah, we can use the bulk API, Chapter API, all these kind of APIs which Salesforce
streaming API
exports.
as well. So you can listen to streaming events using JSForce. Now, one very, very important consideration, whenever you use Heroku Connect, it synchronizes data with Salesforce using Salesforce APIs, but it does not count under your 24-hour limits. That is the advantage with Heroku Connect. But when you use JSForce, it is going to count against your 24-hour limit. So it is very important to keep in mind on a scenario by scenario basis, decide which approach is best for you. Now, just for the purpose of this demo, we are going to go with
Web service callout.
web service callout. Again, as usual, because we are using JSForce, which is a third-party dependency, let's install JSForce and also install another dependency, which is called body parser. I'm going to explain you why, but let's just do that
Let's
first.
do that. Terminate the existing job. and then npm install JSForce as well as body parser.
Mhm. Okay, so while this is installing, let's finish the server code for that as well. So why don't you copy the code from the documentation?
Yep. So let's take these connection informations. Okay. So JSForce as well as this entirely. Okay.
Yeah.
And over here.
So all of this again is going to be in your index.js. So I'll quickly make some best practice changes. Don't use var a lot. It's better if you use constant. And here our login URL is going to be login.salesforce.com.
Then username and password will be replaced, right?
Yes. Now the username and password, again, you want this to be configurable
Right. So
based on
better,
the environment. So
yes,
where do you put the configurable values?
the env file actually. So the where
Yes.
we have put the database.url.
Yep. Go ahead
Okay.
and type it in env file.
sf underscore username. Yes. sf underscore password.
Okay. Make sure R and D are capital letters.
Yep.
We don't want to screw things up now.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So now the way you utilize your process variables is you already have an example here, process.env.database URL.
Yeah.
So you can just do
Env dot.
process.env.sf underscore username.
And same for the password.
Okay, let's copy paste. Okay, so basically I'm loading the JSForce, I'm creating a connection and I'm logging in so that a session is established.
Yeah.
Now the next thing I want to do is I want to create an endpoint.
No, this is the function. Do you need that, or do you need to replace this with a promise here?
I think it doesn't really matter what we use here because we are not worried about what is a callback for this. It is just showing an underline because you're not using the user info. Just remove the user info as a parameter. Okay, actually, yes, you're
Yep.
using the arrow function.
Yep.
Okay, very sophisticated, but okay, this is good enough.
So and I can exit the process. Okay. So process. Sorry, just a moment. Process dot exit.
No, I don't think it is needed at this point. Let's not put process.exit. Primarily because process.exit is written whenever you want to handle errors. And um, okay, okay, you want to add process.exit. Okay, let's just do
Do
that
that.
in that
Okay,
case.
that's
Okay,
fine. And let's retrieve the data from
you
the.
need to close this.
Mm-hmm.
All right, it is. I think it looks good. The login functionality works. Now create a new endpoint. So you have, how do you create a new endpoint? I want to create an endpoint called
So
data slash place order.
place order. So if you have to create a new endpoint, so we have to use the post app.post. Okay.
Okay.
So
So till now we were using app.get
get.
because you are retrieving data. Now you want to post data.
Yep. So I'm taking the same signature, but only replace that from the rather than the gate. I'll
Okay.
do the post. Okay.
All right.
So first of all, just complete the packet. That's fine. Let's go to the post and data dot place order.
Okay.
Okay. In the post, we have to use the connection dot post method. Okay.
Okay. So now I think you have exposed REST class, right?
Yep.
From your Salesforce code.
Mm-hmm.
So let's look at Apex REST and how to call Apex REST from your code.
So we go over here, so I can use.
Yeah, just copy that.
Let's copy this thing. Put it over here. Now we have to make some changes.
Okay, what is the name of your RESTful endpoint? Can you
So
go to your code and see?
Yep. So RESTful endpoint will be the place order. So
can you show me the Salesforce code?
So this is the
Okay,
code.
the URL mapping is place order.
Place
Okay,
order. So
let's
we have to
just
use this
copy that.
actually. So let's go over here and sorry, place order. Sorry, just place order. Let me take that.
Okay.
And here you have to use the data console log. So here we will return the res.json the same way you're returning, and here we will be returning the data.
Okay, if error return console.log. I don't think you need to return anything in here. Just remove that. We'll remove console.log. Not a best practice to have console logs in your server data. I think this is good enough. You have created this endpoint process.env is done. We are making a call to Apex REST. So finally, I think there is one thing to do.
You have to go to the front end to get this data.
No. So by default, your request is not going to give a body. If you observe body, it's going to be req.body. By default, it's not going to come in. If you remember, I have also installed the body parser as an extension. So I need to enable that extension so that this is going to take care of getting me the app.body. So if you scroll a bit up, I'm going to add some code so the audience can see. So I'm going to initialize express, and then what I'm also going to do is write this small statement. So all of this is available in public documentation of Node.js. You need not really worry about this logic. So you're just going to initialize it this way. And with that, our backend is done. So let's go to the front end in the place order and utilize this method.
Yep. So in the place order, to go to handle click, right?
Yes, in the handle click, please.
So handle click is we have to write the handle click for the submitting the order. So let's start with handle click event. And first of all, that we need to before putting the order, what we're changing that.
So just put the fetch API call to the post endpoint. Let's do that. And put the fetch API call. Okay, now this fetch API call is not going to be a simple get call. It is going to be a post call.
Post call.
So let's look at the documentation on how you are going to do a post for the fetch API.
Yep. So before that, okay, we will introduce one email address.
Yeah, right? Yeah, we are going to do that. Just let's put whatever we have done so that we can add new stuff in some time.
So this is the fetch API, and this needs to be added over here.
Okay. So replace the URL with data/place order. Okay, now we have the data that we want to send. So can you go back to your Apex class and show me what that the data is, what data is your function expecting?
Yeah, email and the product list. Okay. So we have to get the email address from our UI. So we have to create a field for email.
Okay, so let me actually quickly do that. You will go to product.html, and I think we need a field to capture our email address. Okay, so let me just put that code. It's just a simple div. You're entering your email address. It contains an input text with a class of email address.
Yep.
Now, how do you get this email address from your JS file?
So we have to use the query selector.
All right.
Okay. Should I do it?
I can quickly write that down for you. Let email address is equal to just template dot query selector, and here we are having the dot email address
dot value
and dot value. So this is how you get the email address. Now, because we are stringifying the data, so now the data it is expecting two things. One is the email and the other one is your product list. So let's just create an object for that.
Is a where?
Okay, it can be let as well. So let's
Yep.
just do let. So where object email is our email address
and product list
and product list. Now product list is also present in your file. So
yeah, that is called all objects, right?
So it's called all products.
All products. So you have to use the JSON to stringify all products.
Okay, let's use JSON.stringify all products. I'm also going to add a little bit of validation. So in case our email address is blank, we don't want to make the call out. So let's just show it this way. And once our fetch API call is done, we want to show a response.
Yep. So before making the response, okay. So here you have to have the data. So this data will be replaced by the object, right?
Yeah, correct. So this will be replaced by the object. Okay, I think pretty simple. Getting the email address, putting it into an object, validating and sending a request. So this is all good. I think we are pretty much done with our code, whatever we are supposed to write. But now let's go back to Heroku. I want to show you another feature. So up until now, you have been deploying all of this to Heroku Git. Okay, so this time I want to show you another feature where in case you have your own GitHub repository, how do you do it?
Yep.
Okay, so let's go into Heroku app for that. Go into your app, go into deploy. And here in your deployment methods, you'll notice that you have Heroku Git, which is enabled right now. Now we want to enable it into whatever is the GitHub repository that you want. So before that, show me your GitHub repository.
So my GitHub repository is this. So Sandraval.
Okay, so now we want to commit code into your own GitHub repo. So let's just add this remote. So the command that GitHub shows, you can just put it.
Add it over here.
So this way, do you want to do git remote -v? Okay, so this way you have two endpoints. So you have the Heroku Git as well as your own GitHub repository. So you can choose which GitHub repository to push to.
Okay.
So let's just push all of this, commit your code and push it to your own GitHub. Save all the files. Index.js as well.
I think, let me just save all the files. Here it is complaining. Is that complaining?
No, it is not complaining actually. Yeah, it is fine. You can just save it.
Yeah. Save
now commit all of your code.
Sorry.
Get tagged out.
Okay. So let me commit quickly.
Now to push your code, go back to your GitHub repo and see what is the push command. It is pushing to the origin endpoint, right? Git push you origin master. So it is not Heroku master anymore. So let's do that.
No, I think there is a problem over here.
Okay, I fixed that issue. You can recommit.
Okay.
Okay, so that was the advantage of the linting that runs. If there are any issues, it still keeps updating it. So let me quickly look at it. Process.login error. Let's not return console.error. Okay, what else is it saying? I think that's it. Okay.
That was the same person error actually. Index.js.
Okay, so give me 1 second. Let me quickly try to fix that. Um,
It should be taken.
yeah, hopefully, yes. Yep, I
Yep.
think it is done.
Mm-hmm.
So now let us push to your origin.
Yep. So let's go back to here and put in master.
Mhm. Okay, so I think now your deployment is complete. So let's quickly verify that by going and refreshing here. So all of your code is now present in your own GitHub repo. Now the way you configure it here is you connect to GitHub and you specify what is the repository name.
So my repository name is LWC Heroku.
Yeah, you can search for it. And once you find the relevant connection, just click connect. And what happens here is now your application is connected to this particular GitHub repository instead of Heroku Git.
Good.
Okay, now here you have two options. One, you have automatic deploys and manual deploys. So if you configure automatic deploys, the moment you push your code to the master branch, Heroku deploys the code automatically. Let's enable that. But for now, I've already committed the code. So
Mm-hmm.
let's also deploy to branch manually and see how it works. Okay, so now this deployment is going to take some time. Now, before that, we spoke about environment variables and we spoke about configuring the .env file inside your Git in your local system. Now, in the Heroku app, it is going to be available in settings and you can reveal the configuration variables. So here, can you tell me what this database URL is?
So database URL is the Postgres database URL.
Correct. So the moment you provision your database, Heroku already added it as a config variable to yours. So you did not really create the .env file.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so let's put the SF username and password as well.
And add the password. Set. Okay, all right.
All right. So you've added the username and password, and I think that is it. So now your app is going to work all fine. I don't know if the deployment is completed or not. The only way we can find out is let's go to our app here and try to refresh it. Yep, I think the app has deployed. It is able to connect to the database. It's able to fetch all of your quantities.
And you can add the email address.
Yeah, let's get one email address from Salesforce and try. If it doesn't work, obviously we can fix it offline, but hopefully it should. Yes, order
Yeah.
number 14 placed successfully. So this is good. We were able to deploy this app.
So basically, it is a calling our Salesforce web service and
Correct.
submitting the order.
Correct. So all of it is working. Now I want to quickly wrap this up. Already we are a little bit over time. So just to recap what all we have done in this live coding session, we have created a Heroku app. We
Mm-hmm.
have used Lightning Web Components in the Heroku app. We have connected to Heroku
Postgres database.
Postgres database and fetched the data. We have also connected to Salesforce using JSForce and REST API calls. We have pushed code to Heroku Git. We also pushed code to your own GitHub repository and configured auto deploys, which
Good.
worked fine.
Mm-hmm.
But there is one more concept that I want to tell you about, which is pipelines.
Yep.
Now, this is all fine for one simple app. Okay, but now what about if you have a bunch of apps that share the same code base? So in Salesforce, what is your typical deployment process?
So we can use the CI/CD process, right?
Correct. Your CI/CD uses a single GitHub repo.
Yes, right?
Yes. Yes, because it is a single repo. Your CI/CD is going to pick up the code and it is going to push to different Salesforce environments. Here also you can do the same thing by means of this pipeline. So you want to configure the pipeline quickly. So what you can do is you can just choose pipeline, create a new pipeline.
Yes.
And give it a name.
Name is that LWC Heroku.
It should contain only lowercase numbers. And create pipeline. So what this is going to do, the pipeline is basically going to contain stages, just like your CI/CD. It can contain the staging environment, it can contain the production environment. Okay. It's just that instead of a Salesforce instance, here it is going to be a Heroku app. In this case, your warm ravine is in the staging place. Okay. For your production, you might want to create an app which has your corporate branding. So maybe they have the furniture store, so furniture.herokuapp.com. So you can create a production app for that. Okay, let me do that. So add app and create, or you can search for an existing app, anything else. I don't think there's an app. Okay. So let me just create an app. So let's say LWC Prod app. Okay. Okay. And just click create app. I think okay. So we have already limited. Oh, you have reached the limits on your Heroku instance, which is fine. So basically, what's going to happen is the moment you create an app, your staging environment is going to have a button called promote to production. So the moment you deploy your code to master branch, if you observe here, it says auto deploys master branch. So the moment you commit your code to master branch, it is going to commit to the staging app. And you're going to verify all of your things in staging. And once you click on promote to production, which is a button that is going to come here, your code is then going to automatically move to production. So that is how you can manage pipelines. And you also can create additional apps for the development phase and the release phase. And there are a bunch of different features. It will take again a whole webinar to talk about them. Okay. So finally, one more concept which I can't really show it on the org because it is a free instance is scaling. So one of the most important requirement your company had was that the website had to scale for during the peak hours. During the peak hours. Correct. And you mentioned about two types of scaling. One is that horizontal scaling and second is the vertical scaling. Correct. So here are a few commands that you can run to scale your apps horizontally. So if you scale web is equal to 2, which means you're creating 2 dynos for the web instance. For the worker instance, if you want to scale, you can scale it separately. This is your horizontal scaling when the number of dynos is increasing. Yeah. You also mentioned about vertical scaling is that we can increase the CPU or the RAM. Okay, that can be done by means of the third command that is there here, that is standard 2x, which means it runs with 2 times the memory and CPU share. So these are the simple commands that you can run to scale it manually. Excellent. You also have automatic scaling abilities where there is a slider where you can set when should your app scale. Basically what this takes in consideration is your response time. So you set a response time. Let's say if I open my website, my app should load in 1 second. If your app is taking more than 1 second or it is taking close to 800 milliseconds, then Heroku decides, okay, now it is time to scale. And it scales your dyno so that your response time is within your recommended threshold. That is what this slider talks about. Okay, that's good. So anything else that we forgot from our use case? Mostly we have covered. Mostly we have covered. Okay, that is good. So I think with that, the resources is what we want to show. This is a trail mix link. Feel free to bookmark this link. It is going to contain all the references that we have spoken about. How can you deploy apps on production? It is also posted in the chat window. It's going to talk about how you can connect to Salesforce, how you can configure Heroku Connect. It's a bunch of good stuff that we put into our trail mix. Feel free to complete that. And with that, I think it is time for some Q&A. I know we are almost like 25 minutes over, but let's see. So what are some of the questions? So what are the underlying AWS services that comprise the dyno? Okay, AWS, yeah, that is a correct point. AWS is the underlying IaaS infrastructure that we are using. So now the Dino is actually quite a complex concept. It's a container that runs your apps, and we use concepts called as slubs, where your code is bundled and pushed onto multiple dynos at once. There are a bunch of things. I think it is going to get a little bit complex for a Q&A answer. But yeah, there is, I mean, in the Trailmix link, there is also a module that talks about all of this.
So the second question is that if we were to change our app or app exchange, it will be partly developed on Heroku. It would be probably require a Heroku license. Is this covered?
Um, so Heroku license, yes, you would pay for the dynos that you would consume. And Heroku is typically meant for a public-facing website or public-facing mobile apps. So that again totally depends on your use case. If you're talking about licensing costs and all, please feel free to reach out to your account executives and the ISV team. We can't commit to any of those.
Does polling take a account API governor limit? No.
No, the polling doesn't count against your API limits as long as you're using Heroku Connect. But if you are using
Web service call out, then it will take.
web service callouts, then yes, it is going to take. Can we use tooling API in this? Yes, if you use JSForce, you can use a tooling API. Why custom product object is used instead of product to standard object? Excellent question. Just for the simplicity of the demo, we have used a custom object because if we were to use the standard product object, we had to deal with price books and all of that. So we didn't want to go into that. Does Heroku Connect support per user authentication? Not really sure. What about the fulfilled promise for login? So the fulfilled promise for login, you can actually use it in order to store the variables that you're going to get back. Like once you log in, you're going to get back the username, the name of the user, email address and stuff like that. So if you want to store those and show it in your header, that is when you would actually be using this. So any other questions that we want to answer? If there's any second minute, if there is any notification, Heroku is going to initiate the polling cycle. What about the next polling? Will it happen at the end of 10th minute or the 12th minute? It will happen at the end of 10th minute. So your polling cycle, if you configure it to 10 minutes, your polling is going to happen at 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, irrespective of how many accelerated pollings happen in between. I think with that we are at time. I'm just quickly checking on the Trailmix link. Some people reported that it was not really working. So I'm checking that, and we will post the updated Trailmix link on the YouTube video recording as well. So with that, I think if there are no other questions, please fill out the survey that comes at the end of this webinar. This is the final webinar that we are doing for this year before we get all excited for Dreamforce and Trailhead DX India. So we really look at all of your survey results, and next year when we come up with a new webinar series, we are going to collate all your survey results and see what best we can do. So with that, again, I would like to close by saying Happy Halloween and Happy Diwali, Shantanu.
Thank you so much for joining with us. Okay.
Okay, and with that, we want to wrap up nicely with the thank you slide. And see you everyone. See you next year.
Bye-bye.